All right, it is noon.
Okay.
Let's get this show on the road. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. So today, Brother Guy cannot make it. It's the Bob and Rob show.
Doing it, whichever direction you are.
Yeah. Uh, Welcome everyone though. So it's wonderful having you. Hope everyone's doing well. And I guess we will, I guess in the tradition of Brother Guy, start with check-ins. But first, I wanted to just sort of acknowledge the what's that?
But first,
But first,
but first,
wanted to acknowledge the new Pope. So Pope Leo the 14th, and of course, many of you have already probably made this connection, but the namesake he chose, the last Leo was the very same Pope who pretty much instituted the Vatican Observatory in 1891. So I wanted to just throw out probably the highlight of the motu proprium that he drafted. So just kind of this great little document, but I just wanted a couple phrases here. Pope Leo the 13th wrote um, that this discipline will raise the spirit of mortals to the contemplation of heavenly events, that everyone might see clearly that the church and her pastors are not opposed to true and solid science, whether human or divine, but that they embrace it, encourage it, and promote it with the fullest possible dedication. So um, there's a nod to Leo the 13th. The current Leo the 14th basically told the cardinals that the reason he chose the name was not specifically because of the Vatican Observatory, but to the encyclical Rerum Novarum, which was sort of became the foundation of modern Catholic social teaching. But I would say that you know that the human story is comprised of not only like justice, but also what the big part of being human is simply contemplating the heavens and contemplating our place in everything. So hopefully that dimension of Leo the 13th will also be kind of a trademark of this Pope's tenure as Pope. So um,
well,
yeah,
he sounds friendly to astronomy, so yay! That's good.
yeah, yeah,
Has anybody met him? Anybody in the staff actually met him prior to him becoming Pope?
yeah.
I don't. No, we don't have any Chicago connections among the staff. We do among our board members. Do we have any of our Chicago board members on the call right now? I don't see any. Um, because they might have.
Well, I was just curious if anybody had met him prior.
Yeah. Does anyone know if Guy knows him?
Guy didn't mention it to me, so I doubt it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I suppose.
Well, I will say this. The day before he was elected, my mother-in-law upstairs, who is 82 years old, I think, was saying, "Oh, well, we'll never have an American Pope." And she's like, she's just gobsmacked, I think was the right word for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good. On a side note, I'll be heading to Rome in a couple days to help out with the Vatican Observatory Summer School, and this continues an interesting tradition of mine unintentionally, which is that this will be the third time I've been to Rome. All three times have been within the first 3 months of a new papacy. So, so that's like an interesting little pattern. But anyway, what we can do is go on to check-ins, and uh, if anyone here is new to the check-in game, it's basically hello, where you are, what the weather's like where you are, and anything interesting you've seen in the sky in the last month since we met. So, Jim Wren, do you want to kick it off?
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Jim here, just north of downtown Phoenix. It's going to be, for the third consecutive day, over 100 degrees.
Oh,
The sky's been cloudy at night. It's been really overcast, so really haven't had much opportunity to see the sky. And again, it's hot. It's just been hot.
Yep. Yep. Cool. Larry.
This is Larry Lebowski in Tucson, Arizona. We're a little bit cooler than Phoenix, so I think the high today is only supposed to be mid-90s. So we've only had one 100-degree day so far this year, so a little bit better than that. What I've seen in the sky is, well, we did an astronomy event last weekend, and very few people showed up, where we looked at the moon and Jupiter, but this is the moon from, I'm looking at my phone, April 26th. So it's about a 24 hours, 36 hours before new moon. And that was, I think, a couple of days, 2 days before or 2 days after the Smiley moon event, or whatever it wasn't, of Venus, Saturn, and the moon, which didn't look like a smiley face.
Gotcha. Very good. Thanks,
Mars
Larry.
wasn't as big as the moon in the sky.
Well, the two objects were not the same brightness. Venus was, I think, 400 times brighter than Saturn.
There it is. There it is. All right, Mr. Kennedy.
Greetings from New York, as I mentioned, the fundraising office here, where it's a delightful spring day, and I'll be stepping out for my lunch break in about an hour. As usual, though, New York, great place for fundraising, terrible place for stargazing, so nothing other than the jets heading to and from LaGuardia from this office.
The Jets as in like planes or the football team?
Oh, I suppose, no, I guess the football team will be flying in and out of Newark, which if you've seen the news, you don't want to be anywhere Newark these days. So just the passenger plane.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Carmen.
Hi, I am Carmen. I am joining from Montevideo, Uruguay, South America. I wish to congratulate you all on your co-national Pope, which is stunning, really. And this is a women's comment from my parish. He's very handsome too. And another, well, he's a mathematician. I didn't know that. So he will be very interested in your work. And it has been overcast these days, so no signs of anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Elizabeth.
Morning. Yes, Elizabeth Matusak from Torrance, California. And we're near LA. And it's a sunny weather today. And last night when we were coming home from a Mother's Day function, I saw the almost full moon. And it reminded me, oh my gosh, today you got to get up early and watch this event. So thank goodness I was paying attention, and I have enjoyed a fairly new book that the brother Guy had written on stars and the meditations of Saint Ignatius of Loyola, and one of his chapters, I think, was chapter 3, said, "Pay attention and be aware, and go out and do your walk at night, and look at the stars and see where they're located in the moon and things like that. To be an aware person." And that's about it. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Jeff. I think your sound is off, Jeff.
There we go. No.
Yeah. Is that it? Nope, not quite yet. There you go.
Okay. Yes, Jeff Madley. I'm about 70 miles east of New York City on Manorville, New York. And it's a gorgeous day. It's 63 degrees and really nice out there. And unfortunately, we have nothing but clouds lately, so there's nothing really in the stores that I was able to see. But aside from that, it's pretty good out here.
Great. Great. You're out on Long Island?
Yeah, Manorville. So
Nice.
it's way out near Riverhead, which is almost near the end, not near the end, but 3/4 of the way.
Cool. Yep. Excellent. Celia.
Hello, Celia Harris, East Boston, Massachusetts. It is a beautiful sunny day here, the second consecutive day. I think we've had sun since March 1st. So the most exciting thing we have seen here recently is the sun. But it's going to be a beautiful, it turns to rain again tomorrow.
Very good. Sometimes the best things are the familiar things.
That's exactly right.
Very good. Reverend James.
Hello, I am signing in from Southington, Connecticut, and it's about 67 degrees. It's a very sunny day today. We're in a period between long periods of rain, so it's been cloudy the last couple of weeks, and it's probably going to be cloudy in the near future. I haven't been able to see anything particularly interesting, but on Saturday night I was with a few other priests for dinner, and we were sitting outside in the patio, and I happened to look up and I saw the moon, and I remembered that it was going to be full today and that I would be seeing all of you today.
Wonderful.
Oh, so happy that reminder is in the sky there for us free.
Yeah, right. And we will go to Dennis.
Hi, Dennis McCarthy in Denver. It's clear skies. It's supposed to be up in mid-80s this afternoon. And Rob, do you have a 1 or 2 sentence answer to the question, what's the difference between a Jesuit and an Augustinian?
Is this a joke?
Oh, I've been asked and I couldn't provide a concise.
Well, I don't know if they would approach a bar the same way, but yes. I don't know a whole lot about Augustinian spirituality, I have to admit, but yeah. I'm sure that Jesuits and Augustinians would have a lot in common, but they would also have different flavors of spirituality here and there as well. But yeah. Yes. Let's see. Justin.
Justin in Watertown, Connecticut. I'm about 20 minutes from Reverend James. It's about 69 degrees here, and the almost full moon last night was, I saw it periodically, was pretty striking.
Nice. The almost full moon still gets a little bit of the crater viewing on the very edge there, so that's kind of a neat sight. Yeah. Maureen.
Well, you've already heard the weather from New York from about a dozen people, so I didn't see much of anything. But I joined you a little bit late, and actually, I did meet the new pope about 12 years ago.
Oh,
I used to work for Villanova University, and when Prosper Grech, who was the founder of the Patristics Institute, was made a cardinal, I happened to be in Rome, so I brought him greetings from about a half a dozen Augustinians I knew. And he called this man over and he said, Robert, come here. Here's a friend of so-and-so, so-and-so. And this very nice man came over and chatted with me. And I thought, my God, what lovely manners he has. How very pleasant to meet him. So if he's anything the way that, like the man I met, I think we're in good shape. But yeah, and don't ask me about Augustinian versus Jesuit spirituality. Would not touch that with a barge pole.
I think they can both be seen at baseball games from time to time.
Or basketball games. God forbid you're there when they're playing at Jesuit college.
Yes. Yes. Let's see. Sharon. Sharon, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi there.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't usually use Zoom, so I don't but I've been hiking for every full moon or county parks. I'm from Fostoria, Ohio.
Oh.
And they have county parks that have moon walks, and so I've been at all of them, and there's one tonight, but it's overcast here. Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm not quite sure where I received the information about you, but I subscribe to America magazine. So was that where it was? I don't know. So yeah, so I'm not part of like the moon group. So thank you for asking me who I am. And I've been going to the planetarium at Bowling Green State University. And we've been getting a lot of information there about the new program to reach the moon, Artemis, you know,
Cool.
so yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going to talk about? I don't know for sure. But
Yeah.
that's
Got
it,
a
really. I go
whole
to
list
St.
of stuff.
Gwendolyn and Postoria, and that's it, really.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
it's wonderful to have you. And
Sure, sure.
I used to be a park ranger, and I used to lead full moon hikes at a couple different national parks. So I remember the joy of kind of watching something like the beauty of a landscape under a full moon gives it a whole different flavor, certainly.
Well, when the moon comes out, we're pretty excited. It's not always there, you know, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nature preserves, actually. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank
Great.
you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Sharon.
Sure.
James.
Hi, I'm Father James Krasinski, pastor of St. Olaf Parish in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Do some writing for the blog. We have been having a stretch of absolutely gorgeous weather in Wisconsin. It's been like mid-70s, just kind of those days you live for when you live in the upper Midwest. In terms of what I've been doing in the sky, I actually am a little groggy because last night I had even though it was approaching full moon, a beautiful night of astrophotography. Some friends of mine, I did a wedding for them, own a vineyard with a distillery on it in Minnesota. And they invited me, since the apple blooms are in peak right now, they asked me to come and do some photography of the blooms, but also some nightscapes of their apple orchard. And so and also too, I'm reflecting, you mentioned, I have never met Pope Leo. I know a couple people who have. Kind of all indications are very encouraging to me. I did find it interesting. I've been following kind of the press conferences and like his talk with media, that twice he mentioned that one of the reasons, not the only reason, he took Leo the 13th was Rerum Novarum, but in particular that he's setting as one of his priorities that he wants to reflect upon the role of artificial intelligence in society and to look at that. So just as a little sneak peek for the blog post, for those of you who follow Sacred Space Astronomy, I'm jumping on here because I'm taking a break. I'm writing a little piece. I asked OpenAI to write me a papal encyclical comparing the thoughts of Leo the 13th on the Industrial Revolution and Rerum Novarum with the rise of artificial intelligence. And just to kind of see if with OpenAI's crack at a papal document at it, that being that it sounds like we're probably going to get one from Pope Leo, then we can compare and contrast. I'm a little disappointed with OpenAI. That's batting 0 for 1 already. It titled the papal document Humanitatem in Machina, which is humanity in the machine, which I'm having a gut feeling Leo is not going to use as the title for me. There's a little too much of a Cartesian divide there. But anyway, read about it in the blog. Nice to be with you. Great to see. I'm looking forward to hearing from you, Bob.
Thanks, James.
Right.
Yeah. Got a couple more. Father Sape.
Yes.
Sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
No, it's perfectly fine. It's French, like provost or prevost. In my formation, I was a Discalced Carmelite friar, and I studied in Washington, D.C. And the mendicant orders would get together every now and then. I remember going over to the Augustinian friary. So the difference between a Jesuit and an Augustinian would be, I think the Augustinians would be considered a mendicant order going back maybe to 1200s, 1300s, and the Jesuits like 1500s, 1600s. So that would be the main difference. But apparently they're both big into education. So I don't know that much more than Augustinians, and I don't think I ever met him. This would be going back 40 years to DC. He studied at the Chicago Theological Union for his seminary. So I would never have met him. Now, we saw the moon last night, almost full moon. My brother and sisters, we have a kind of a family thing. We say Bella Luna whenever we see the full moon or near full moon. And that comes from the movie Moonstruck. So many of you might remember that movie. But so that's it.
Very good. Is that Pluto and Sharon behind you?
Yes, I'm a big Pluto advocate.
All right. Very good. Very good.
I'm hoping for the day to bring Pluto back as a planet.
Okay. Yeah, I was up at the I was on an outreach trip last month to Flagstaff, and I got to tour the Lowell Observatory, so that was kind of cool to see the story of the discovery of Pluto and everything like that. So
Tombaugh.
Yep. Yep. And then I think finally we have David. I believe David's the last one.
Yeah, I'm near Raleigh, North Carolina. It's a rainy day and it's going to rain for the next few days, so probably miss the full moon.
Okay. All right. Cool. Bob, do you want to what's the weather like in Michigan there?
It's beautiful, and when this is over, I'm gonna go ride my bike because it'll be like the first time in a long time. It's fine, finally getting nice. So take my daughter to take my granddaughter to the park.
Nice. I have to share the thing I saw in the sky, which was, I have to say, this was the first thing I ever saw in the sky that I was not able to identify.
So I just allowed you to share. Are you sharing an image, or are you sharing
no,
story?
I didn't get an image of it,
okay.
Unfortunately, but it was probably some sort of drone. But I'm walking around after dinner the other night, and I see the only way I can describe it is imagine like a really bright comet in the sky, but imagine instead of having a tail, it's like coming at you head on. So instead of having a tail, there was like a halo around the whole thing pretty evenly. And it just sort of moved across the sky like an airplane. And the halo sort of came and went. And at one point, it sort of shot out another halo, almost like ripples coming out of a stone in a pond. It was a very weird sight. And so I just sort of Googled what weird thing in the sky over Tucson tonight. And first thing that pops up is a video of the exact same thing, but like a week prior. So anyway, probably some sort of drone or who knows, but it was, I can say that I kind of saw the first thing. I couldn't really tell what it was in the sky. So anyway, that's a little bit.
It's not confusing or anything.
As I think I mentioned to you, Rob, it might have been the memorial lanterns from the cemetery south of Tucson. I think there was one report said that that's what they might have been.
Okay.
So people send up those memorial lanterns and burn down and other things when they land. But yes, apparently there was some that sent up from the South Lawn Cemetery or something like that.
Okay. Cool. There you go. Good explanations. It doesn't look like Paul Gabor is with us this morning, so I don't. What's that?
Larry up at the vat recently?
Yep.
Yeah, Larry.
I have not been up to the vat recently, though. See, I'm going to Mount Lemmon next Friday, along with Carmen, assuming she gets into the U.S. And then the week after that, I go to the vat for 4 nights, come home for 3 or 4 nights, and go up to the vat again. So I might have a report the next time, assuming I am not sleeping at the time of the next full moon Zoom.
All right.
The telescope is working, which is good.
That's a good update in and of itself, right there.
Yes. There have been some issues over the last few months.
Yes.
And I think most of them have been resolved.
Good deal.
They had better by the time we get back up there.
Great. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to the guest portion of the Full Moon Meetup. And today we have joining us Mr. Bob Trembley of the Vatican Observatory Foundation. And first question to Bob is, by any chance, is your middle name Francis?
No. John.
Anyway, so neither is mine, for the record. So anyway, yeah, so Bob wears a lot of hats. He
Sure
is,
do.
what's that?
I sure do.
Yes. And maybe it's best if Bob, can you just take it away? What is
Oh,
your
okay.
role with the Vatican Observatory Foundation?
All right. Well, let's start at the beginning. In prior to 2014, I had a company where I was doing Windows Server and PC support around the Metro Detroit area. So I'd be doing a lot of driving to client sites and listening to audiobooks and stuff. And it was dragging me down. But I'd also at that time been doing WordPress website development. And Brother Guy in 2014 called us and said, "Hey, I'm going to be stopping in Detroit, coming in from Rome, and why don't I visit you guys?" And we're like, "Okay, sure." And he's like, "What?" We asked him, "What would you like to eat?" And he's like, "I'd like a Coney dog, some better made chips, and a Verner's, very Michigan things." And we laughed, and we got him that. But he was talking when he was there. It was pretty darn funny. He was sitting in our living room on our sofa, right, talking about how excited he was that he just met William Shatner. And I look over at my wife and say, "Brother Guy is on our sofa." I'm excited about that, but it's all a matter of perspective. But so he was talking about this new website that he had made, and he was lamenting that he wasn't able to blog on it with other astronomers and stuff. And I'm like, he's like, "Why are you looking at me like that?" I was, "That's what I do for a living, right?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Okay." So within 3 days, I had a prototype blog site up, and within a week, we launched it. And he's like, "How would you like to blog about astronomy and space science with me and other astronomers?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Yes. So that's how that started. And then he wanted to have the Faith in Astronomy workshop, the archive. And so I created another website, and then there was another website. So I was maintaining three. That got to be a nightmare. And so we got this grant through the Templeton Foundation, and we hired like a team of 15 developers instead of just me. And they took all the sites, merged them together, made a nice front end and all this stuff. And that's the website you see today, which needs a little work, but that's the website today. I'm still maintaining that on the back end. But I went full time in 2019. And from then, I've like you say, a lot of hats. If anybody here has received the newsletter, that's me. I do that every other week.
Yep.
If you've received the invitation to this thing, I do that. Um, Larry sometimes sends me things, as does David Levy, and he sends me text and copy and images. I put those together in those posts. And so I do that, and let's see, they throw a lot of stuff at me, and it's just, sometimes it's like, "Can we do this?" Like, we'll try.
Right
But
on.
I met Brother Guy
Yeah.
in the mid 1980s. A huge science fiction fan, went to Michigan Tech and met my people, right? Met the science fiction club up there. And the first thing they did, first quarter of my first year of college, is, "You got to go to a science fiction convention." I'm like, "What's that?" So I go there, and then, "You got to meet this guy." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And bunch of my friends already knew him, and I met Brother Guy at a convention in Chicago. He was at the time curator of meteorites at the Vatican Observatory, and he was talking about the science of meteoritics and how he was studying those meteorites. I'm like, I didn't know this, and so I had a much left that lecture with a much greater appreciation for how cool meteorites were. And so that pretty much started it. Man, when my wife was there, she met him at the same time. And so when I started working for him, that was just like, awesome. But I was born in the 1960s, so I'm a child of the Apollo era, and Carl Sagan was my hero. And so astronomy is kind of like seeps out of my pores. Um, so I've been going to these science fiction conventions for years, and there's been a lot of lecturers at these conventions that talk about astronomy and space science. And one of them is a buddy of a mutual friend, Bill Higgins, a brother guy in mine. And I asked him at Alcon 2012 Sunday, and I said, where do you get all this really cool information? He says, well, I'm a solar system ambassador. Well, this is a program that NASA has. It's the volunteer NASA JPL Solar System Ambassador program. And they look for people that do a lot of astronomy outreach and they recruit you. And you fill out, it's the most arduous application form I have ever filled out in my entire life. And they call all your contacts, including Brother Guy. So they called him.
Wow.
But what's funny, because the person that called Brother Guy from the Solar System Ambassador program knew him anyway.
Ah.
But yeah. But
It's hard
so
to imagine a better reference for the application.
yeah, you think, but so this program, what you get to do is you get to sit in on teleconferences with NASA mission specialists, engineers, scientists, get the latest scoop on stuff, and then you're required to do 4 things during the course. Report 4 things like lectures, workshops, posts. I started logging all the posts I did for the Vatican Observatory Foundation. And a couple years after I started doing that, they allowed you to start logging those too. So that was pretty cool. So social media posts fed their way into that. But so this program, you get access to all these people. You got to do events, and you can request freebies like NASA stickers, mission stickers, calendars, all this sorts of stuff. I mean, sometimes I get random boxes with JPL logo appearing on my doorstep, and it's just like, yeah, Santa's been here. But you pass those out, and one of the most popular things we have in here are these little card packs that they have, solar system cards, NASA's the moons of the solar system, and small bodies, which is asteroids and comets. And they're like trading card packs, but the kids just love these things. So I have a whole stack of these out in the garage I pass out at events. So I'm the president of Michigan's Warren Astronomical Society. This is started in 1961. It's one of Michigan's oldest astronomy clubs. I joined in 2011, and I've been a board member almost every year since then. Either outreach officer, I did their newsletter, I was the first vice president, and now I'm the 3rd year as president. I'm getting term limited out this year. But yeah. And I will not be seeking alternate ways to seek a 4th term. But
yes.
yeah, but so the Warren Astronomical Society, we have my first lecture was at them, and last week we had the lady we had as a guest for this, Dina Weibel. And so she gave a lecture, and it was very similar to what she gave to us about a month ago. And so one of the lectures, one of the comments on the Zoom chat was that this is one of the most interesting lectures I have ever seen in the club. I'm like, cool. So I was talking with her prior to her talking, and I told her about the Solar System Ambassador program. And she says, I've been thinking of doing that. So I actually wrote them and suggested that they use her as a SSA, and they said thanks for I've never done that before. Usually you get the sign up period is in September for a month. But they said, we love suggestions. So if anybody here is interested in this kind of thing, if you do a lot of outreach, to look at the NASA Solar System Ambassador Program in September, you'll see it. Sign-ups are now. And if you want me to give you a plug and a good word, just let me know. So yeah, there it is. So there's a great program. And so if you're looking for an astronomy club or astronomy events in your area, check out the NASA Night Sky Network, and it is a nationwide organization of astronomy clubs. And the astronomy clubs will post their events, their observing nights and club meeting nights and that kind of thing. So you can if you're looking for an astronomy club in your area, or you know somebody that is, that's the place to find it.
Then say that. What's the name of it?
It's the NASA Night Sky Network.
NASA Night Sky Network.
Yep, just type that in and you'll find it, and you'll see all the events posted by other clubs. A couple of our things are there, and so I'm also I'm not a board member, but I work with the Great Lakes Association of Astronomy Clubs. Michigan is lucky. We've got like 7 astronomy clubs in the southeastern Michigan area, and they're all super active. And they banded together several years ago and formed this club called the Great Lakes Association of Astronomy Clubs. And one of the major things that we do is an event called Astronomy at the Beach. We have an event at Island Lake State Park, And before COVID, we held Friday and Saturday night. We had 5,000 people in 2018, and it's been ramping up. We had NASA 2 years ago, and they brought a 30-foot inflatable SLS. That was really cool. But all the clubs have a table underneath the tent, and we have speakers. And Brother Guy is the guest this year. He will be giving the keynote speaker, and I'm not sure, but I think he's going to be crewing a VOF table underneath the club tent. So the Michigan astronomer, I tell you, they're freaking out excited about having him as a guest. So that's really
Okay.
cool.
Which beach is this in
It's
Michigan?
Island Lake State Park. It is near Brighton, or I'm sorry, Milford. So it's beautiful. It's lakefront property, and
Yeah.
I said before COVID, we had about 100 telescopes out on the field. The Warren Astronomical Society, we have like a 22-inch truss Dobsonian that you got to build, and that always has a line, and just the field is just littered with telescopes, and we start
Yeah.
before sundown, so we're doing solar observing too.
I've only spent maybe a week or two of my life in Michigan, but every time I go there, the night sky never disappoints. That was the play. There was one time where I saw like the Big Dipper, like the Bear of the Sky, like almost touching the Sleeping Bear Dune. And that's a national lakeshore in Michigan. It was like the Bear of the Sky and the Bear of the Earth were kind of, reaching out to one another. It was kind of cool. But what kinds of when you are doing the outreach like for the NASA Ambassador program, what kinds of outreach presentations do you do?
Oh my goodness. Well, so the a lot of times parks will have events, and they'll want us to come up and set up a telescope. So I'll put it out to the club, and we'll get 1 to 5 people out there with a telescope. I'll typically set up they'll typically have a tent or something with a table and electricity. And what I like to do is set up at the table, put my freebies out so people can grab them. And I set up my computer with a screen, and I'm using an app called Space Engine, and I'm just showing the solar system. And what your kid comes up, what's your favorite planet? Show them the favorite planet, and I'm able to zoom around it, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's very cool." So get
So this is like
some comments.
you
That's
can,
that's one of the things I do. I've given lectures at libraries. I talks at the Warren Astronomical Society. I mean, about a month ago, I gave a talk at the Cranbrook Institute of Science about the app Stellarium, which is a 3D planetarium app. And I'm actually writing a post for that for the VO, because when I was at the Acme workshop, a lot of the attendees did not know what Stellarium was. I'm like, all right, I got to fix this. But
yeah.
So yeah, I said I give talks. I've been invited into kindergarten and 3rd grade. That was a challenge, but fun. But
What did you
usually,
talk about with kindergartners out of curiosity?
mostly I ask them what their favorite planet is, and just talk about the sky. Have you been to have you seen the sky at a dark sky site? And that is a lot of the kids say no, and it's just like, ugh. Because when I was, I got my wife got me my 8-inch Dobsonian telescope in 2000, and I took it up to past Michigan Tech, McLean State Park, Lake Superior, right? Dark sky. And I took it up and I set it up and I looked up and went, there's so many stars, I can't find my way around. Eventually, I said, all right, look for the Milky Way. There's some major stars in the Milky Way, and that's what I had to do. There were so many. I've heard a lot of astronomers say that same thing, that they've been some of the dark sky sites. There's so many stars that you can't find your way around, and that's the way to do it. But
is there in your I will often ask kids their favorite planet too. In your experience, is there a front runner in general, or just
Saturn?
You've asked, like, what planet tends to lead the pack?
It's Saturn. Saturn by far. I'll have to agree. I mean, the Cassini mission has to be my favorite. And if you've never seen the Cassini mission finale video, it actually won an Emmy, and it's a tearjerker. It's really cool. But so I've shown that. But my first lecture is in 2013, I think it was. I talked about a mission, the Laddie mission to the moon, which had was testing some laser technology for communications, and it was hilarious because the laser station that was on the Earth looked like something that would shoot lasers at Godzilla. It was
Yeah.
hilarious. This is this four telescope thing, and that was my first thought was Godzilla. But so so I'm really into asteroids, and so my wife
Yeah, I was
had
going
me
to ask you
give
about that.
I
Like
my
what
wife hmm? My wife
what's
had me give a talk about meteorites, and so it started off without meteorites because I've been collecting them and that kind of stuff. And then in 2013, this asteroid blew up over Siberia, over Chelyabinsk, and that kind of ignited something in me. And so I changed it to an asteroid lecture, and I got really interested in that. And then I found out about the JPL's, I'm sorry, the IAU's working group on small body nomenclature. Every month or so, they come out with a list of newly named asteroids and observations and stuff. And so I picked that up, and I look through it, and I look for Jesuit, priest, Catholic, just a whole list of things. And when I find a Jesuit, I'm like, oh, look, another one. And I will immediately send that off to Brother Bob Mackey and Brother Guy. And Brother Bob Mackey, he he maintains this graphic that shows all the asteroid orbits that are named after Jesuits. And he's like, I'm starting to run out of room. This thing. There are so many, and they just keep coming in. I've got on my to-do list, I've got like 5 of them I have to do yet. But
what is the number currently?
oh my goodness, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's in the 30s or 40s. There's
Yeah.
a lot of them. And I'm also looking at doing a post on well, there's a lot of craters on the moon with Jesuit names. I'm not sure about other bodies in the solar system, so I'm researching bodies in the solar system with Jesuit named features on them. So that is a work in progress.
There you go. Could be like one of the geysers on Enceladus or something could be named after.
Ooh. So,
um,
so when I started working for the VOF, I started posting videos on their YouTube channel. And so again, if you see a video on the YouTube channel, that's me. But one of the first ones I saw was the one about Anglosecchi, the
yeah.
father of astrophysics, right?
Yeah.
And okay, I was born and raised Catholic, went to a Catholic grade school, went to a Catholic high school, sang in the choir. Never had I heard any of this. I was actually angry when I was done watching that because I'm like, why hadn't I heard any of this ever,
Yeah.
ever? And so I plugged that video quite a bit, and
Yeah.
the the brother Bob Mackey making the 3D model of St. Ignatius Church over the course of time, that was just fascinating. I thought that was really, really cool. So if you're unaware of that, brother Bob Mackey, you can search on YouTube Mackey Makerspace, and he's got videos of him learning how to do 3D printing and making this. He originally made a model at St. Ignatius Church was about that big, and they liked it so much they wanted it for the Jubilee. And he's like, well, it's not big enough. I need to make it a lot bigger. And this thing, it's like 3 times the size, and the detail is ridiculous.
Well, he's got a connection to asteroids too.
Yeah, which was kind of amazing. He got sucked into the OSIRIS-REx mission team because of his knowledge of studying samples, extraterrestrial samples. And they kept asking him questions. They essentially just said, well, why don't you join us? So that we did a podcast on that with Brother Bob Mackey, as a matter of fact. That's the other thing I do. I turn these things into podcasts. So some of them. It takes a lot of time, and if this was the only thing I did, that would be great. But I do so many other things for these guys.
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to crank out the podcast as much as I would like to.
Yes. I also understand you are a science fiction
Oh my
aficionado.
goodness, I have been a science fiction fan since forever. I mean, all right,
Yeah.
I'm going to see who laughs here. Johnny Quest? Yeah, there's somebody. Some people laugh. Yeah, okay. I was watching Johnny Quest and Lost in Space and what else? I was 8 years old when 2001 came out, and it really confused me. And then I read the book and I said, well, why didn't they do it that way? But if you've ever read the book, it explains the ending very well. But so yeah, I'm a huge science fiction fan. I actually just finished Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary on audiobook like 2 days ago, and that was pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed that. I cranked through that really hard. I have actually haven't read a book in probably 10 years, but I've listened to hundreds of audiobooks. And I just love them. And I mainly did that because when I was working on PCs around the place, I'd have an hour between client sites. And so I'd get large chunks of books in.
Yeah.
But so I've been going to science fiction conventions since 1978, met many of my favorite authors, met Brother Guy at one of these things. So we have a ton of mutual friends, which is kind of weird because I'm still finding mutual friends like Dina Weibel. She knows Bill Higgins and Brother Guy. I hadn't met her until on the podcast a month ago, so we're still finding mutual friends. Very strange.
Yes. Yes.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I base a lot of the stuff you've been working on, including like a lot of the simulators and this, you've got a tour of the solar system.
All right, yeah, I'm an avid computer gamer, and
Yeah.
so this is what I'm running right now on my gaming laptop. I do when I show people the tour of the solar system. I also have a couple other games that they're essentially they're simulators, and so they require a kind of beefy system, and so I got a beefy gaming laptop. Oh shucks, but so I one of my favorite apps that I like to show is called Space Engine. It's a Windows app, costs $30, goes on sale for about 15. It literally lets you go anywhere in the universe. And I give tours. I'm showing this while I'm sitting in front of people at these events. And this is one of my favorite presentations. I give it. And I start off at the sun and work my way out and fly you like a drone through Valles Marineris, take you through the rings of Saturn. And see, Father Sape, you like Pluto? One of the things I do is, since Pluto and Charon are tightly locked with each other, what I do is I land on either one of them, looking at the other one in the sky, and then I accelerate time, and you see the stars whipping by, and that planet just hanging there. It's freakish, and they're all like, it's very, very cool.
Very good.
But it's one of the things that Space Engine does. It lets you, with your Windows screensaver with stars. Yeah, you can fly through the galaxy like that. But it's got a nebula and clusters represented very well, and you can just fly right up to them and through them. Go to Sagittarius A star and see the center of the galaxy. I've had kids ask me to do that. I've actually had some kids at these events ask me to go to very specific exoplanets, which shocked and pleased me. But yeah, so one of the things I've noticed at these events, all right, so I will have just gaggles of kids going by in front of me, but there's always one who stops and just, their brilliance is dazzling. And I've actually said to the parent, get them into astrophysics, like, wow. They're at least, and one of them has come back a couple times, so that was pretty cool. But I took something to an event, so if that kid shows up again, I'm giving him this special thing I had from NASA, and he showed up. But so we said the Warren Astronomical Society, my club, we have an observatory at a metro park, which is a park north of here. It's about 50 years old. The skies used to be very dark 50 years ago, but our southern sky is pretty awful right now. I'd like to do something about that. But our observatory chair is a real big double star fan, and so he'll be moving the observatory. And I got to see Castor, which is a double star, the other day for the first time. And somebody actually asked him, oh, was it? It wasn't Castor. It was another double star he likes to look at. He's been observing them for years and years, and he's actually, you can see the separation change with them over time. And so that's really cool. But we've said we host this. Our observatory is at this metro park. Just down the way from where the observatory is are these two buildings where scouts will come and set up for an evening. And if they don't know about us, they have to go right by us when they're going down there, and they'll walk over in the evening. Hey, what's this? And we've now got some propaganda up and a flyer and stuff on the side of the building so that they know who we are. But
Yeah.
we're doing scout work all the time. Scouts ask us to come out and do astronomy stuff. So that's very cool.
What would you say, a lot of these star parties you do and a lot of these events, what would you say is your favorite thing to show people on the telescope?
Saturn. I was at a science fiction convention once, and I had Saturn in my field of view, in my 8-inch Dobsonian, and this young lady came out and she looked at Saturn through my scope, and she did this. She went, she looked at again, and she was like, "Oh my God, oh my God!" And she ran back into the hotel and ran down the hotel. You gotta see Saturn in this guy's telescope. And I'm sitting there going, well, I guess I made an impression on her, but that was the most overt expression I've ever seen. But if I could get more people like that, great. I was at another convention years ago, and I was looking at the moon. I had a really close-up view of some craters and stuff, and it was prom night. So all these very, very well-dressed young gentlemen and ladies walking by, and I was saying, "Hey, come on over to the moon." This one young lady looked through and saw all these craters, right, really close, and she was like, "How'd those get there?" I'm like, "Oh heavens, how do you explain hypervelocity impacts and crater morphology, asteroid impacts?" So, oh, okay, but yeah, so
Wow.
that kind of cemented it in me. All right, we need to improve astronomy education. Now, my wife, who is also a solar system ambassador, is a retired middle school science teacher, and she taught astronomy to those kids. So those kids got it good, but there were other teachers in her school who did not like astronomy. How do you think that those students fared? Probably not very well, right? So that's the problem I have with astronomy. Is just the deeper you go, the more knowledge you got to have in other fields, and like we're talking about, we've got adjunct scholars talking of researching dark matter halos in the Milky Way, and I'm looking at some of their papers going, but that's not simple astronomy. And we've got another adjunct scholar who is working on some of the most sensitive equipment ever built. That it's just freakish. It's amazing. And so I being in with this group, I mean, I have met some amazing people. I've interviewed with some amazing people. I think when he told me that we are going to be interviewing Heidi Hamill, I nearly had a heart attack. She went to school with Brother Guy, which I didn't know. She was on the Voyager imaging team when it flew by Neptune, which I did know. But
Wow.
that was amazing. And so I've been a real big fan. He says, we're going to be interviewing Heidi Hamill. So, but we've interviewed astronauts and physicists. We had Heino Falke, who was on that black hole imaging, the Event Horizon Telescope team. And he was also a student in the V.A.S. years ago, which is really cool. So,
Wow.
so
You
yeah,
mentioned,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you mentioned Heidi Hamill. She was on the Voyager 2 imaging team. That was looking back on my grade school years, that's what really got me into astronomy, was when they first came out with the first pictures of Neptune. And I think I was in 8th grade. And that's really what kind of sparked my love of astronomy, was just seeing like the images of Neptune all over the news, and I'm like, whoa.
We had I went to Michigan Tech, and there's an instructor up there who co-founded the astronomy picture of the day. We actually had him as a guest years ago, and we had him as a guest at the Warren Astronomical Society. But he was talking about how, you know, the internet, or the World Wide Web, came into existence just about the same time as the Hubble pictures started to come in. And there was a lot of pictures there, and they're like, we think the public would be interested in seeing these things. And so they created the astronomy picture of the day, and it's like one of the oldest websites on the internet, and it is still going strong, and it's posting amazing pictures.
Can you share that in the chat?
Sure. APOD, APOD. APOD, search on that and you will find it. There it is.
Nice.
Ooh, that's a nice, it's a picture of our galaxy rendering. There it is. Oh, so I got some questions here on the side. I'll starting at the bottom here. Larry, if you ever want a small meteorite to give out, please let me. Okay. Yes, I'll get with you on that, Larry. I saw that NASA is looking for volunteers to describe the first ever pics of baby galaxies. Yes, there is a new Zooniverse, a citizen science project called Galaxy Zoo JWST. And what you can do is you can look at hundreds of thousands of images taken of galaxies from the James Webb Space Telescope, and you categorize them, and it will help astronomers tag them, and it'll train AI and that kind of stuff. But yeah, if some of these Galaxy Zoo projects, like exoplanet projects, students and individuals like you or me have gotten your names on scientific papers because you've discovered something. So that is really cool, and I encourage everybody to look into Galaxy Zoo, because if you're not, it doesn't have to be astronomy. There are projects for absolutely everything that you could possibly be interested in. So yeah, Zooniverse. And I will put the link to that. I've been neglecting my links today, because I've been chatting you guys up. Zooniverse, there it is. Yeah, this is a wonderful site, and there's just an enormous number of projects, and they've got you can find exoplanets and galaxy. Is that the right one? That is not the right one.
Yeah.
And galaxy disks and exoplanets, and just tons of stuff.
Yes. Very good. Does anyone, we're getting close to the end of our.
Oh, are we? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I've been chatting. My wife says I will chat people about astronomy until they walk away from me, and I will.
Yes. Well, not enthusiasm about astronomy is
I love it.
You exude it, my friend. So did anyone have any questions for Bob before we part ways here?
So if anybody, so this tour of the solar system lecture I can do it by a Zoom. If anybody wants me to give it to a classroom or to a group that you want, just contact me and I'll be more than happy to give it to you.
I have a question.
It's really cool. I have an answer. Let's see if they match.
Yeah. When you were mentioning the NASA Ambassador program, because every once in a while I toy with that, but obviously with, my life as a priest and other things I do, I'm always concerned that I wouldn't be able to give it the time that it would deserve. Could you give like just a real practical breakdown of, here's like the hours a month you give to these sit-in information sessions, then this is how many hours you put into your public.
Well, the requirements for that is reporting 4 events over a year.
Oh, a year. Okay.
A year. So I have that done by January. By the end of January, I mean, seriously, I mean,
January 4th.
But
So
yeah,
it's not, so it's not a labor intensive.
it doesn't have to be, but I have they have a Facebook group, and I have seen people with pictures of their tables, and they'll have like 2 or 3 tables with rocket models and NASA stuff that they've been collecting over the years and pictures, and I'm like, holy mackerel, these guys are putting me to shame. But that's a lot of work. And so you can put as much or as little work as you want into it, but your posts would be enough. If you do any observing events in the public or with your parish, that would be all you'd have to do. And so that you could being able to sit in with mission specialists and get the latest scoop on stuff, being able to ask them questions directly, or say you have a parishioner that says, hey, what's going on with this NASA program? Well, you know who to ask now because you have a rep that you can contact, and they will pass that right along and get your answer back.
Yeah, we're in the process at the high school I work with to try to bolster their space science program, and I thought that would be an interesting, approach into it, to do an ambassador type of thing with schools too.
So tell you what, so if you go to the Solar System Ambassador, NASA Solar System Ambassador website, there'll be a directory, and you can find Solar System Ambassadors near you and have them come and give a talk, and they will be more than happy to do that and see what it's like and talk with them.
Great,
So,
thank you.
so they are in the continental U.S. and I think they're in Puerto Rico as well. So any of you, if you want to have a solar system ambassador come and talk to you, there'll probably be one in proximity to you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, we have reached it's 10:01.
We are
10:01 Tucson time, I should say. So thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
We will see you next month, presumably on June 11th, which is the next full moon. So yep. But have a great month, everyone, and
clear skies.
Yeah, keep looking up, as they say.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bob.
All right. You're welcome.
Good to see you, Bob. Nice job.
Yeah, nice chatting to you. Talk to you later. Good to see you again.